welcome back to our channel, or just welcome to our channel. This is 2 Views, 1 Book, and we are ready to review the second book in the Court of Roses and Thorns series, or Thorns and Roses series by Sarah J. Maas.
Something like that.
We are ready to review A Court of Mist and Fury. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And you have been eagerly awaiting and wanting to talk about stuff, so go ahead.
Well, I just finished the book. It was interesting. We'll say that. We'll start off, I guess, with a little summary of it. So, Feyre is now with Tamlin in the beginning. And so many issues with that. Did you have any issues with her?
With Feyre?
Yes.
I just thought in the beginning when she was with Tamlin and they just got back from under the mountain, I feel like they both had some trauma that they just didn't talk about. Like, they quit communicating. So that was the problem I had. Like, I kind of feel like the whole thing was almost a big misunderstanding that they just never talked about.
I will agree with you on that. I think they could have used some counseling or something along those lines. And the supporting characters that they had around them were not the correct ones.
Supportive, helpful.
Right. To go along with that, though, I still have a dislike for Feyre. And I know you said she's gets better.
Yeah,
and
that her character evolves.
But man, when is my question with that, especially in the beginning of this book. It was so rough.
She is very whiny.
And
immature.
So, yeah. And I'll look at it from the standpoint of Feyre. I guess I'll go with that. She feels locked up. She feels caged because she wants to be with a man who's protective. And that's what he was in the beginning. He's not changed. But
I think he has. I think his trauma made him more that way. Like, he wouldn't let her go out. Whereas before, he would let her go out and wanted her to be involved in his kingdom. But now he's like, no, you can't leave the house. Like, his traits are more exaggerated because of being under the mountain.
In part, yes. I will agree with you on that. Okay. So, but my part with Feyre that bugs me is now she's Fae, and she still doesn't understand how anything works in that society.
Yeah, nothing.
You know? And so having somebody who is protective and can block some of that stuff away from you is better while you learn the ropes.
Right, but she has to learn the ropes, and Tamlin didn't want her to learn.
He showed her some of the stuff, like with the tithe that they had to do, or he chose to do.
Yeah, but that's not relating to Feyre.
But she doesn't even know how her own society or her own court that she lives in works.
Yes.
And stuff. So I get the feeling of her being imprisoned. I understand that she wants to experience things and be a part of stuff. But she also, I felt like, needs to take some time prior to running headfirst into everything. On top of being whiny. Oh my gosh. She whines and cries a ton in this book still. And so that's why I'm trying to understand how you like this person. But one thing I think that annoyed me a lot in regards to Feyre and stuff is every time she got upset, she wouldn't just get upset, she'd get really, really upset.
Yes.
And then she'd have to go throw up. Oh, I gotta go vomit.
Yeah.
Come on, all the time. You might not remember that in the book.
No, I do. But a lot of that came from like her nightmares. Not all of it, but a lot of it did. And so she had like no control over how upset her nightmares, how upsetting those are. But again, I think that goes back to the trauma under the mountain that she's not figuring out, that she's not dealing with.
Yeah, but then, like, even it happens even later on throughout the book that she gets so upset she has to go puke. I'm like, can you find a different outlet for her to?
Well, she does. Then her powers start coming out.
Well, it was even when some of that stuff was going on, but she's just like, I'm so upset, barf. I'm like, ew, you could stop. Okay. So I found that to be pretty gross.
Okay. I mean, that didn't bother me. It was just, I just kept reading.
The other thing, this is just a little side note that I figured out early on. What is the technology level supposed to be in this society?
I don't think they mentioned any technology.
Well, they mention her going and throwing up in a toilet. They mention taking baths and pipes rattling. So who's building all this infrastructure? That's what I thought of.
Ladies, do we think about that when we read books? No, you just suspend disbelief. Like, it's just there.
This is supposed to be medieval times. It's all fine and dandy. But, like, I'll throw to later in the book to go along with this. Like, when she's on top, in that cabin on top of the mountain, she has a bathtub where pipes rattle. And I'm like, there is no pipe running water all the way up there. And they're like,
but
it's magic. It's magic. But then why do you even need to bother with pretending? It's just,
why do you get caught up on that stuff? I don't understand that.
You wanted me to read the book. This is what I noticed.
I don't understand. Like, that is like so minute. Like, I never even think about that. Like, it just is because it is. Like, I like to build relationships with the characters and get to know the characters, and really understand their stories. I don't care how the houses exist.
It's the world building aspect of it for me, but I was just like, okay, that's cool. I mean, I understand that, but why even have a drain in the bathtub? Because the water will just evaporate on its own due to magic, I'm guessing. Anyways, something along those lines. So.
Okay. That's all I have to say about that. I got nothing else.
All right, I figured that would be the case with that one. So, but that like really piqued my interest. I was like, what the heck's going on with that? Then, before we move on and start talking about Rysand, I want to talk about Tamlin real quick. That dude's into some weird shit.
I don't remember the sex scene, so you're going to have to remind me.
There was a sex scene early on, which brought up another question, which I will get to in a minute, but where they were having their good fun time. He finishes inside of her, and then they're laying there, and he starts playing with her. Okay. Afterwards, specifically mentions that both of their juices he's playing with, and then dives headfirst in to start munching her out afterwards. And I was like, huh, that's an interesting choice. I'm like, if that's what you like, that's cool. If you're into it, that's fine. But I was like, huh, I'm not sure why that happened there, but all right. And then I started thinking about it. I was like, you know what? For all I know, Faye spunk tastes like cotton candy. I don't know. So maybe it's a great thing. But I was just...
Well, and I also think with that, too, I know you still have another point to make, but I think the writer has to write for all kinds of different interests, right? Like, some people probably think that's hot and sexy and it gets them going, whereas for you and I, we're just kind of like...
That was the first sex scene in the book, so I'm like, okay.
I just
like, it started off strong, it was great until that part. I was kind of like, nah, you lost me.
Yeah.
But that's cool.
Yeah.
That's fine. So then the other point I go along with this, and this is a common theme throughout all the other sex scenes, is they tend to finish inside of her. I was like, are they not worried about pregnancy?
Don't they talk about that in this book?
And then toward the end, they do mention that she has to take a drink, or has to drink this potion or whatever.
Like Fae fertility is different.
Guarantee nothing happens, but then it's still a pretty rare occasion that it does happen. So I'm like,
yes.
Okay, I guess that makes sense then.
I also wondered if STIs were not a thing in fairy world, like
That's a valid
because
point.
because I noticed that too when I read it.
So, anyways, that was one of the things I noticed early on too. So, through all this stuff that's going on, she's been building up all this hatred toward her man, I guess, or not understanding what's happening.
Yeah, just making a lot of assumptions and not talking to him about it.
And while that was going on, I was like, well, still hasn't done her deal with Rysan of going there once a week for every month. It's been a couple months and stuff. So now they're about to get married. And
Tamlin and Feyre.
Tamlin and Feyre. And I was like, this scene bugged me a lot too. That she couldn't communicate with him what was going on with her. And so she was so upset, so flustered that she didn't want to get married to him. She couldn't, I can't walk up the last few steps.
Well, she had like a panic attack.
Yeah, that doesn't usually happen on the wedding day, does it?
Well, in my experience, no.
Okay,
but
thank goodness.
But because they weren't communicating or talking, and she was feeling confined and like almost claustrophobic, like she had a panic attack.
But then Rysan, I guess through their mental connection because of the thing in
Their
the hand
bond
and stuff, he just shows up at the wedding. He's like, yeah, it's time for you to come with me. Sorry. And I was like, well, that's a dick move, but I mean, he's doing it.
He is kind of a dick.
He was doing it to save her from that situation. And I'm like, that's fine. That's cool for him. And it's a good way for him to piss Tamlin off. But what would have happened if he hadn't showed up? Not really sure on that one either. So she probably just threw up on the stairs
And got married?
Perhaps.
I don't know.
So anyway, she gets stolen away.
Stolen?
No,
she wanted to go.
She fled. She ran away. And so where were your feelings at this point in time in the book, if you recall?
That I was glad that she wasn't marrying Tamlin because she obviously didn't want to, and so she shouldn't feel forced into doing that. And that Rysan was giving her an out. And he made it seem like he wanted to help her. But I also, as I went back and read the summary, because I finished the book so long ago, I do remember thinking how manipulative Rysan is to get what he wants. But I find his actions, I guess, more romantic than manipulative most of the time. And so I guess it was a good thing that...
Oh, God.
I mean, with the suspending disbelief in mind. Like, not overthinking too much. Like, just reading it for what it is on the page. But that she was going to have time to heal.
Okay. Well, since he whisked her away, I'll just say, so she starts developing an affection for him from going to visit every month. And he's teaching her things, how to read, how to be a better person, I guess. Something along those lines. And this is the part I guess that bugs me the most, why I was really unhappy with Feyre and why I didn't like her and why I still pretty much don't. She fell for this guy, Tamlin, then decides, I don't really like him anymore.
And then just moved on.
Even though he's protecting me, he's everything you wanted before in the first book, he gave you. Now, you're like...
And now you're like, oh, I'm done with him. I get a little bit of that.
I'm a fairy now. I got powers. I get to live forever. I don't want this. I want more excitement in my life. I'm like, you just got stability. You just got everything you're needing. He's there to take care of you, protect you. Man, I need the new best thing.
Yes. I do see some of that, and that part was frustrating. I did have that thought too, that she's just like, oh, you're old news, and done with him. But I also think too that then my brain circles back and my thinking circles back to, they didn't communicate or talk about anything. And if they weren't going to continue to communicate or talk about anything and heal the relationship, then why should she stay? I just felt like she didn't necessarily make a choice that I would make, but it's also a book. Like, so I just kind of tried to forgive that and move on for the sake of the story. But yes, I did have that thought and I did see that, but I think it's just all that trauma and the communication piece for me that never happened.
Yeah. I'll go with that as well. That's all fine. It sounds like a good enough reason. So, but she's just so whiny and so complaining. That's a thread that runs constantly with her. And I have
But
another...
your opinion of her didn't change when you met her sisters in this book?
Let's get to that later. And like, give us a few minutes on that one. Let's deal with Ryson. In my opinion, as we go along. So she starts developing a thing for him throughout these months of hanging out with him. And so then she freaks out at Tamlin because he locks her in their house. Mm-hmm. And so then Ryson and his cronies come steal her.
Yeah, but it wasn't him, or he could start a war or whatever.
Yes.
So he sent...
He did it the...
Did he send more?
Proper way, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was Moore and Cassian or something like that. Anyways, so she gets stolen away to hang out, to now come live with.
But again,
Ryson.
Stolen or fleeing?
She ran away. So, also annoying. Once again, because she...
Same. Like,
she can't
same type of
communicate.
situation, yeah.
And so, now she's hanging out with him, being all angry and...
And just hanging out at the night court, and yeah.
Right. So she decides to work with Ryson, live with him.
Okay, but also, as I was reading the summary, I feel like it took a lot to talk her into staying. Like, I felt, and I didn't understand that, because I felt like when she went with Moore and Cassian, I believe you that he was there too, I just don't remember. If they took her back to the night court and she was there, I would thought that she wanted to be part of the night court, and the feelings that she had for Ryson were growing and that she just wanted to be there. But he had to try to talk her into it 3 times. And I did not understand that.
Well, in the end, she got the same exact thing she had with Tamlin. She got a rich dude, a good looking rich dude, with, security of a place to stay, always ability to have food, living in a secure city, and the freedom to go do whatever you want. Except for the only thing different between Ryson and Tamlin was the freedom. Mm-hmm. So the new best thing.
Well, I felt like Ryson tries to communicate with her too, whereas Tamlin did not. Like, Ryson actually talks to her and listens to her.
For reasons.
Yes. Again, he is very manipulative, but yes.
So, then she decides to work with them. And so, developing her powers. It's just, the powers thing bugged me too.
How come?
Because, we'll just fast forward to the end of the book, I guess, is one thing.
Okay, but then we have to go back.
Okay, let's just do it. We'll skip we'll get to her powers thing in just a minute then.
Okay, but the sisters with the queens. I was totally over that part of the story. I'm pretty sure I didn't even read some of Elaine's scenes because she was just such a bitch. Why does she have to be that nasty?
Elaine or Nesta?
Oh, Nesta. Elaine's always nice.
Right.
Nesta.
Okay.
Why did Nesta have to be that way?
Because she is. But Cassian likes her for it.
Are they going to end up being mates?
Not mates. I mean, they might be together.
Have the bond?
Well, that only happens randomly, it seems.
Yes.
So, I don't know. I thought it would be a for sure thing. If it's two two souls and they're meant to be together, then it would always be a thing. But he's been around her and never didn't feel that tug or didn't say anything about it.
But then again, the writer has to take liberties, you know.
Of course. So I'm sure, later on they're going to be like, oh, let's be a thing. So, because the sisters got the same treatment as well. They got to become Fae too, those lucky bastards. So.
Oh, yeah, when they were getting the cauldron, and they had actually been kidnapped, and okay, yes, I remember.
So, anyways, we'll fast forward just a little bit here to get through some of them.
It's a long book.
It is, but there's a lot of just character building going through there. So yeah, she starts falling for Ryson, really likes him, thinks he's hot, seen him naked. And
that scene with the under the stars didn't tug at your heartstrings, with the stardust and on the balcony,
it was cute.
Yeah.
But then she was too chicken to do anything about it.
They danced.
You could have danced horizontally too if they wanted, but she was too chicken to do anything about it again. So I'm because I'll tell you what, once again. Still into this thinking smut book, right? I need to apparently get that thought out of my head. Because
there was plenty of smut in this book. Yes? Not enough for you?
Okay, so it started off you got some smut on page 30.
Yeah.
And then you didn't get real smut again until about page 450.
Oh, that's fair, because there's character building.
Right, there's a lot of that. So I was like, oh wow, they're starting to get into something's going to... No, not this time. And so anyways, they go...
But you have to understand that women like that kind of thing. The women like the build-up.
That's cool, too.
When I read it, I like the build-up. And then when it finally happens, I appreciate it more. Because the tension has been built.
You have to build tension for half a book to make that happen, I guess. But... And I guess what you're calling tension is her whining and pissing and moaning. That's not tension building in my opinion, but that's fine.
Okay. It's hard for me to argue articulately since I've already read these books and it's been a little while and I just read synopsises and you finish the whole thing and then we talk about it. I do know she's whiny. I noticed that and I remember that. I just think that her character continues to grow and she figures out who she is and isn't so whiny. But I don't know that you will ever get there with her.
We'll see. I keep
She's really young too. She's 20 years old.
I know, and she keeps trying to play she can hang with these 500-year-old fey creatures.
Well, she can eventually.
Because she's got powers. I'll get to that in a little bit. Gets his friends out with that.
We'll just do it now.
Let's just kind of get through the rest of the book real quick, and then we'll go back and hit some highlights or points we wanted to cover on that one. So anyway, she ends up working with Ryson in the group, and they have to go get from the Queens another half of a book. So they work on that. They go deal with that. But the first half of the book is in the Summer Court, which they have to go steal from, I forget his name now all of a sudden, the king of the Summer Court.
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
But anyways, he was a nice guy, and he was all along the same lines of what they were wanting to do and accomplish, but they couldn't trust him with the information.
Stole from him, and he put out hits on their head.
They got hits on them, they're out. And that's important because then the next big thing for me that happens is she's being trained up by Ryson out in the woods to use her powers. Aside from when Lucian showed up to try to take her back, and she got away from that situation. Then they were flying along, and Ryson got shot out of the air by those ash arrows, and kidnapped, and he threw her into the trees as he flew off. And she went and found him. And I guess that was a funny part too for me. They took some of his clothes in another direction so she couldn't follow that scent. But then she could, my scent is still on him because he fingered me last night. So she followed her scent to him. I was like, okay. They need a bath, apparently. So
where are those dark tubs with the plumbing when you need
exactly. You can just make those things magic anywhere. So she goes and rescues him and like kills 4 or 5 people.
Mm-hmm.
And then she doesn't know how to teleport long distances, so she teleported away a little bit, then went and hid him in a cave, patched him up a bit.
And then has to find the cereal.
And then, you know, the next day he's not getting any better because of the poison. So she goes and finds the cereal, gives him the cloak, because that's what, you know, you're supposed to do with him. He tells her how to fix ricin, but then also drops the bomb.
Oh yeah, you guys
apparently.
are mated, and he already knows.
Right.
And then she gets all pissed off and goes to Kevin.
You guys are mated. And she goes back to him, so pissed off.
Yes.
So mad.
Yes.
Why? This is the part I did not understand.
He's been lying to her.
Some shit you got to figure out for yourself. Some things you got to work in. If you'd have been right from the beginning, like, you and I are a thing. Let's go, girl. What do you think would have happened? I hate you. Leave me alone.
Yeah. I agree with that. But again, she's also immature, so part of me like understands why she was mad about it. But she fixes him. She gives him her blood. She fixes him, but then she goes away. Like, she has to figure her shit out. Like, she's really immature and she has to grow up a little bit. Like, yes.
So, when he teleports him back to camp, she just leaves him laying in the mud. She didn't even help him up. Walks right over to Moore and is like, I have so much drama right now. I need you to take me someplace where I can be by myself.
Uh-huh.
And so she takes her to the mountainside. I'm like, what is wrong with you? You stupid female. You stupid female. This is what you want. You want him. You were wanting to bang him last night.
And so now that...
You killed for him less than 24 hours ago. And now you're like,
now why are we mad about it?
We're supposed to be together. I can't handle this.
No, it was because he didn't tell her. It was because he knew and didn't communicate with her. I know. I know you hate stuff like that.
It doesn't matter. It's like, it's
a girl thing.
This is what you want, and now it's so much what I want. I can't handle it. I gotta go.
She has to work through it. Like, I don't think she's mad.
Work through what?
Mad. Stop. Mad. She's mad that he didn't tell her and that he has known all along, so it feels like a lie. So she has to go and work through that and get out all of her feelings and understand that he did it for the right reason. Because she's so young and immature, it takes her a long time, like 3 days or whatever, to figure that out and get over it. That's what it was.
Okay. Sure. If I wanted a cake and someone presented me a cake and I was like pissed off because I'm not the one who went and got it, I guess is kind of how I'd view that. Be like, I don't get it. You know?
I know you don't get it.
So that's one read. That really pissed me off. Like, I was so mad at that.
Like you couldn't read for a while?
No, it wasn't. I was like, this is why I don't like her.
Mm-hmm.
Even when it's something you want, I can't handle it. I don't want it. And she probably went and threw up again after that happened. So I was just like, oh, this gal. I can't see how anybody relates to it, I guess. I don't relate to it at all. And
I do.
And then she was out there in the cabin with the magic.
And so do millions of other people.
Well,
these are best-selling books.
I'm 100% sure they are. So, but I mean, everybody can enjoy that. It doesn't fly for me. You know, they finally make it though. Ricin comes out, tells her the whole story about when he knew, which is all the way back in book 1 when they met.
Mm-hmm. Under the mountain.
No. At Tamlin's.
Oh, at that party.
Tamlin's party where he's got
that sex party.
Bang a chick for magic.
Yeah.
You know. And so then she offers him food. They become mated, and then it's a sex fest.
Yes. Big sex fest.
And I was like, oh, here we go. Well, this is a bit much. We can back off a little bit. I mean, you don't have to throw it all in here at once, you know. So that's like it's either feast or famine with this. You know, I'm like, okay, well, now they're having all the sex, and interesting fun note. I'm like, why are all the main guys that they're attracted to hung like horses? That's what I find to be interesting as well. You know, like they got a 2-liter bottle swinging between their legs, and I'm like, congrats. But I mean, like, where's an average guy at? These things. That's just a funny little thing I noticed. But anyways, as we continue on with that.
I'm sure you don't need an explanation.
Nope, I don't. Understood. You go, girl. They move on, and they get their pieces of the book, and then they go to deal with the king of Hyberium. Hybern, whatever. However you choose to say it.
There's only 2 syllables. There's not another one.
No, I'll add extra letters in there. It's fine.
You did.
So, they sneak in there to deal with the cauldron and try to break it. But apparently that was all plot and scheme by the big guy to try to get the book.
Mm-hmm.
And so, the queens they had met with earlier, they wanted to be, half of them wanted to become Fae or something, so they kidnapped her sisters, Feyre's sisters, to test it out on them to make sure it works before they would jump into the pot. And so they get shoved in there and dumped out, and then Lucian kind of starts losing his mind.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we should talk about how he showed up. So Tamlin shows up during all that with Lucian, and apparently he made a deal with the High Lord to get Feyre back.
The King of Hybern, right?
Yeah, but he wants to get Feyre back.
Mm-hmm.
And so he made a deal. I was like, good for you, Tamlin. Everybody else might have been pissed off at him, I'm guessing at that point in time. I was like, dude, good for you.
For fighting for what he wanted.
Right. And it didn't seem underhanded to me. It was just like, hey, dude, you're bigger and powerful than everybody else. I'll help you out. You help me out, and we're good. You know, like, okay. You know, so I know nobody else probably saw it that way, but I was like, good on you.
No, I had that thought.
You know?
I don't know if it's the one I went with, but I had the thought.
And then Lucian goes nuts over Elaine.
Because he senses like, the bond.
He's like, she's my mate. And I went, oh, God. 2 of these in one book. Oh, God, here we go. And so, and this is where I'm going to get into her power situation that kind of irks me. So she has to get her sisters out who have now been turned Fae. And so then she pretends, or she starts glowing and then breaks a bunch of, or not traps, but spells around the castle to where people can teleport in and out. And I was like, where did we learn about that power? You know, like, oh, we need something new.
Oh, she just has random powers that show up.
Deus Ex Machina, you know, here we go. You now have this ability. Congratulations, you know.
Well, but part of that should make sense to you because she has powers from all 7 of the kings and she doesn't know how to work any of them. So some of them manifest randomly. Like she doesn't know what she can do. Yes.
So therefore, by her just magically going, and glowing a lot, she now goes, I wish I could do this. And then, oh, this happened. Oh, cool. That's not how that works normally.
No, it's not.
So, and the fact that she can mix and match them together and all that, I just see that in the future of going, when's the next blah moment going to be, you know, where she just randomly pulls something out of her butt. It's like, I need something that can both create ice and fire. Look at me go, you know. So, that was kind of annoying. And I'm afraid they're turning her into too much of a Mary Sue character now.
Who's Mary Sue?
Mary Sue is just a person in film that is good at everything.
Oh,
yeah. And so they lose their subtle traits of falling in the mud and all that stuff. They just become too good, you know. And I'm afraid that's where they're going with her in this as well. Because I do like my heroes to have
faults,
a chink in the armor. You know, or something that they're working through. Just not as drastic as this, because she's working through a lot, but for too many pages. This is the problem. You can work through these things and all that, but just too many pages of it. And So anyway, so she breaks the teleportation sigils, and Moore teleports her sisters out. Rice gets his friends out. And so then she's left with Tamlin and agrees to go and pretends that she
Yes.
Was
is agreeable.
Was tricked by Rice into to love him.
Yes.
And so now she goes with Tamlin to go back to his place.
And she's like a spy.
But then they're like, the king of Hyberian, Beria, whatever it is, was to break their bond, their mating bond for Tamlin and stuff. So he broke their bond, but of course the mating bond's too strong and can't do that. And then also you find out him and her got married the night before.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, Jesus. Okay. Here we go. So now she has like a little tattoo on her hand that she's keeping covered with a glamour, which I don't know how long she's going to be able to keep that crap up. Probably forever, because she's Mary Sue now. But I was just like, that's fine. It'll work. And now I'm afraid she's going to start trying to play the spy game in the next book. And I'm like, how do you even know if you're good at this? You're going to falter a lot. You better, at least. So anyways, I'm not going to start speculating on the next book yet, but I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah. Weary.
Yes. Very, very much so.
Well, that's why I wanted to read them and talk about them, because you have really different opinions.
Well, the plumbing was one issue, and also
which is hilarious.
So, is there anything that you want to discuss specifically? I have some notes, so I was going to take a look at my notes, make sure I covered all the stuff I wanted, but is there anything specific you wanted to talk about?
No, I already did, about how Ryson is manipulative, but I think he also really loves her.
Well, yeah. Mate.
Yeah. I really like his court of people. Like, you get to know, I really like those people, those side characters. That was about it.
Yeah. I'd say overall the book was better than the first one. It did have some action in there that was actually worth reading once you got to it.
Mm-hmm.
But God, you had to get to it again.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So, I guess, how would you rate the book? Is it a 5 out of 5 again? Like the first one?
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure I rated it on my Goodreads page 5 out of 5. I thought it was really good. It's a really nice romance story. Like, you just don't overthink those.
Maybe that's the problem.
Maybe. You're worried about the plumbing and why there's plumbing and drains, and you're not. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's medieval times, apparently, in my opinion, or my understanding of it. And so, I'll throw a rating on there of 2.5 still. We're still running middle ground on that. There's way too much angsty nonsense in that to give it higher. I still don't think I like her, even now, at the end of this other book. I'm like, ugh, it's just so rough to sit through her whininess. And now, is she going to be whiny in the next book? I'm going to assume so. So we'll have to figure that out, I guess. I don't know.
We will, because you wanted to finish the series out. We're going to...
You want me to, especially.
Well, I think you talked about wanting to finish the series before we move on, but we're not going to do the next one. I don't even remember the name of it, but it's the little, like, Hallmark Christmas story that plays no part into the plot of any of them. We're going to skip that one and do the next one. And hopefully you'll like her better.
We'll have to figure that out. So, all right. Well, thanks for watching, I guess.
Yeah.
And,
click like and subscribe if you want. It's free. Helps us out.
Cool. All right.
See you for the next one.
I'm not going to have to get up. My leg is completely numb. I gotta slither out of here.